العلم وسهل أخلاقنا بالحلم وجعلنا ممن يستمعون القول فيتبعون أحسنه. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How's the brothers? You new? What's your name? Umar. MashaAllah, yourself? Your name? Name? Yeah. Sorry?
Salam.
Oh, Salam. Yourself?
Ramadan.
Sorry?
Ramadan.
Okay, MashaAllah. Yeah, how do you meet Barakallah? Okay, MashaAllah. So, we started last week with Salatul Jama'ah, right? Salatul Jama'ah, and we will continue inshallah. Not from where we left off, because there's I see a new set of guys here. Just to recap, the Prophet ﷺ, Salatul Jama'ah, Salatul Jama'ah is actually a salah that is performed in congregation, and the congregation is more than one. So when there's two people, then it's considered Salatul Jama'ah. And the idea is there that you're getting the reward of not just making salah by yourself, but with someone else. You with me? So it's always better to be making salah with someone else. Salatul Jama'ah is, the reward is 27 times more, as we discussed last week. So whenever you can find a partner, so to say, to make salah with, especially in the fard salah, then do so, okay? Because you just you multiply the reward. The Salatul Jama'ah was established in after the Hijrah. This is where the Prophet ﷺ institutionalized Salatul Jama'ah. When Adhan was called by the masjid, people came to the masjid. This obviously could not have been done in Makkah because they were hiding. They could not perform their salah. Also, the salah was made compulsory 18 months before the Hijrah. So, 13 years in Makkah. And 13 years in Makkah, so near to the end, you find that salah was made compulsory. That's when the Mi'raj took place and the salah was given as a gift to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So, we said Salatul Jama'ah is a fard kifaya. There's differences of opinion with regards to what's the ruling. And the fard kifaya, which means that a part of the community has to uphold this. So if there's two people in the masjid making the Salatul, but if then at least the Jama'ah is kept up. One of the wisdoms of this being considered as a fard kifaya is, so a fard kifaya is obviously if somebody does it, then the rest doesn't get punished, right? Like Salatul Janazah, if some people do it, and then that suffices for the entire community. But how is this a fard kifaya? Because if you make salah at home, Salatul Janazah, you can't make salah, you have to make it with some people, has to be involved with the mayyit. But how come the Salatul Jama'ah is also considered as a fard kifaya, according to some ulama? And the reason for that is it's min sha'air in Islam. It's from the tokens of Islam. It is the sign of Islam. It's of the signs of Islam. A token, a sha'ar. You with me? So when that token is taken away, then there's no evidence that this community has Muslims within it. Because there's a masjid, but the masjid is empty. So the masjid itself is not a token of Islam. Salatul Jama'ah is a token of Islam. So if this entire masjid was destroyed, and there's still Salatul Jama'ah being performed, you still have this fard kifaya performed. You with me? We quoted an interesting verse last week, and remember this verse. It's in Surah An-Nisa, verse 103, so you can check it up. Where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم وإذا كنت فيهم, when you are amongst them, right? The Prophet ﷺ, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is commanding the Prophet ﷺ, saying that when you are amongst them, then فَأَقَمْتَ لَهُمُ الصَّلَاةِ, then you establish for them salah. So aqamta, you stand in front, in the tafsir, فَأَقَمْتَ لَهُمُ الصَّلَاةِ, you establish the salah. It's not actually telling the Prophet ﷺ to stand in front, but establish for them salah, meaning that perform the salah together. Because you must perform for him salah. You can't perform for someone else salah. Meaning, establish the salah, make salah together. This is in the context of Salatul Khawf. No Salatul Khawf. Did you have Salatul Khawf? Ever heard of Salatul Khawf? What's Salatul Khawf? There's my sheikh coming. I was thinking, we're going to cancel tonight because you didn't come. Alhamdulillah. You got your chair? Go on. So, yeah. No, this is fine. This is fine. Yeah, alhamdulillah, shukran. Sit, go. So, فَإِذَا قَمْتَ, the idea of Salatul Khawf is when there is an enemy in front of you. So let's say there's a lion in front of you, right? Just to make the danger like, not a lion, there's enemy in front of you. This enemy wants to attack you, but you need to make salah. So what you do is you have two rows, right? Two rows facing. There's different ways. Either the enemy is in front of you towards the Qibla, or it's not. But let's say it's towards the Qibla. That's the easiest way. So there's two rows that is performed. Everybody stand up. Everyone's saying Allahu Akbar. Weapons are with you. The weapons are with you, right? And now, when the Imam say Allahu Akbar, ready to go down for ruku, then the first group, they keep standing. They stay standing. So they standing and watching the enemy, but they still in salah, right? Remember, their weapons are ready. So if the enemy does attack, so the Muslims obviously at this particular time is not encouraged to go on the offense, rather on the defense. When we say offense, meaning this is not the time to attack, this is the time to, so they are on the ready, right? Their hands on the weapons. If something must happen, they'll be ready. So they'll keep standing while the first saf goes down. They go down for ruku, Sami Allahu liman hamida, Allahu Akbar. They go down for sujood, Allahu Akbar, and they go down for the second sajda, right? Then when they come up, Allahu Akbar, then the group at the back, then they go down, they perform their ruku quickly, because when they come up, they still get the Imam in the second rakat while he's still reciting. And then the whole process goes again until the eyes is not left, the eyes is not without, the enemies have to be watched constantly. Okay? The point of this and why we're mentioning this is, if Allah is making it so important to perform Salatul Jama'ah, right, in a danger situation, it's dangerous, right? It would make sense that Allah would say, okay, leave Salah, it's fine. No, but this is not when Allah says, no, Salah must still be performed in Jama'ah, right? So then even more so, you should be performing Salah when you're in safety. Because there are people at this point that is making Salah in danger, we're in safety and yet we still don't perform Salah in Jama'ah. Now, I just want to clarify that as well. It's fard kifaya, according to some ulama. So it's not compulsory for you to come to the masjid and make salah. You can make salah at home. But do your best. Right? Do your best to come to the masjid according to your capacity and your capability. It's very difficult for some to be all 5 waqt in the masjid. But at least start somewhere once a week at least. You know, Dhuhr I'm going to be there, Asr I'm going to be there. And this is how you build. So I said it's more than 27 degrees, 27 times more reward. Okay. So where did we stop? Actually, I'm not going to do any more revision. So we spoke about excuses that you are excused for salah. Of that was rain, severe rain. There was rain, difficult, it was very severe weather, very severe weather, and also, if that is going to be the case, then also danger, if it's dangerous outside, and then also that would be, so this is excuses that affects the community, right? So you can see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, despite that, He looks at your safety. So Salatul Jama'ah, this is an excuse to leave Salatul Jama'ah. There's just a contradiction in my mind, because you got Salatul Khawf on the one hand, but this is Salatul Khawf, is different, because this is leaving. You can't leave your house, there's danger. This is when Salatul Khawf is when you're already together, you're already out there. You with me? This is an excuse not to come for Salatul Jama'ah. But I mean, we don't get those. But do we get stuff like that now? No. The coronavirus thing, I think that was actually when these things that we think, why are we even studying this? You know, these things are preserved, yeah? Yeah, when they're shooting, when the shooting is happening in these southern suburbs, and then that's an excuse, because your life is now in danger. If you are excused because of heavy rain, because you can get wet, your clothes can get dirty, even more so, if you're going to get killed, or if you can possibly get killed, then you can not go to Salatul Jama'ah. It's an excuse. I won't take into account for that. Okay. Then specific excuses is like you are sick, you have a flu, you have a cold, whatever, and you're going out, it's going to make you more sick. You know, we spoke about if there's a debtor there. This we spoke about last week. Somebody there, you owe money, and you want to escape him because he's waiting for you at the masjid. So you rather just you don't want to meet him now because you're not ready. You know, so you want to dodge him. Then you can go to a different masjid, but I mean that is one of the excuses. So shurutu man yaqtadi bih. So we spoke about also who can you follow. There's certain conditions in order for your salah to be valid. Number one is أن لا يعلم المقتدي ببطلان صلاة إمامه أو يعتقد ذلك. You mustn't believe that the guy in front of your salah is not accepted. So if you know he didn't take wudu, you saw him come out the bathroom, for example, and you know he didn't take wudu, right? You know he don't have wudu and he's standing in front. You can't stand behind him. Right? You simply can't. Right? I love him. Is he here? So you know he don't have wudu, right? Yeah. Then you can't stand behind. Your salah will be invalid. Okay. We spoke about that last week. Was there any other that we mentioned? Yes. The person you can't follow. You can't be a qari and the guy in front of you is like a mute. He can't recite. Right? You can't stand behind him. Okay. Over here, you're gonna fall asleep. That far is gonna fall off. You're gonna fall asleep. Here we mustn't be. You get the tajweed police. I don't know if you know about them. It's people that study Quran. So now they hear the ras must be full and this must be thin sometimes, and then you get the mad lazim and the mad that's shorter. And so all the different types of tajweed rules, right? But some of them it's good. You must recite to the best of your ability. But you can't go around expecting everybody to recite like that. Not to say that everybody mustn't do their best to recite. Everybody can improve in their recitation. And if even these masters in qira'ah, they themselves recite by other people. They recite by their peers. Listen to this, so they can constantly keep themselves or better themselves. So, but you can't go around and policing everybody. So we spoke about, you get lahan is a mistake, you get a major mistake and you get a minor mistake. So a major mistake is when you change the letters, right? So you change the letters, they call it the makharij. It's the place where the letters come from. Like a ba is with the lips, ayn is from the throat, ha is from the throat, the ra is with the tongue in the middle of the palate. So that's places of where the letters are formed. Like you can't make a ba from the throat, right? And you can't make the ayn from your lips. So you must know where the letters come from. So you can't change the letters itself. Like you can't turn a ba into a ta. Okay, there was a thing going around in Cape Town with Jim. Is it the Jim? It's changed, because there's a slang. Instead of saying Jumla, they say Gumla. Now the thing is, can you recite like that in Salah? And there were certain shuyukh, prominent shuyukh, that recited like that because their dialect is like that, And there was this whole thing going around. The Qurra, they said, no, you don't get something like that in Qira'ah. You can't recite like that. But there was some evidence for that in terms of the fuqaha. That was an interesting mas'ala. Because you go to the Quran, they said, no, there's no qira'ah that is valid that's like this. If you perform salah like this, salah is invalid. Now, when you speak about qira'ah in your qari, we can understand. When you speak about qira'ah and you jump over to fiqh, we got a problem. Because you're qari, not the faqih. If you're faqih and a qari, we can understand. But the faqih gives ruling with regards to fiqh. So they will have to investigate and they will say, is this type of recitation accepted or not? So I'm not saying what's right and what's wrong, but there was an interesting discussion that just came up now. So these things that we're discussing is not just ancient stuff. It's stuff that's happening now in the community. It's happening now. And are you aware of it happened about 2 months ago. You know, it was maybe more than 2 months ago. But it was interesting. Okay, according to my understanding and my view of what I took on this, I'm not a faqih or qari, but of my understanding of the khilaf and the debate that was happening, it went to the faqih. The faqih took had the right to decide whether salah like this is accepted or not, because it's difficult for some people to pronounce certain things. But well, it's a rare case. Okay.
Moulana,
yeah. Okay. Bismillah.
Now, an interesting thing happened here in one Ramadan. We had a Moroccan sheikh here, and he used the wars.
Oh, wars, yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
And then because it was translated over the world, our Ramadan reading, our Taraweeh reading, someone from London to say that the pronunciation is wrong. He was saying Maliki Yawmiddin, we normally say Maliki. But then Sheikh Morocco corrected to say that this is the words the Moroccans use. And
nice. Yes.
It was beautiful. It was something for us that we learned from also.
Interesting thing about this. So there's two opinions with regards to there's different qira'at. Wad-duhi, wad-duha, wad-duha. I'm not a qari, that's what I hear, right? Maliki Yawmiddin and Maliki Yawmiddin, Sirata Ladina An'amta Alayhum, so those type of things when we hear it, and it's coming from a prominent sheikh that studied, he got licensed to read different ways. So there's two opinions with regards to reciting like that in Salah. It's obviously permissible because it's Quran. So one of the prominent shuyukh, I don't like to mention names like all the time, right? Because he had an opinion like this once upon a time, he might have changed it. And also when you're speaking about strong and prominent ulama, it's not nice to say this sheikh said that and that sheikh said that. It's not nice always, but there's disagreement and it's all respected. And someone would just take one opinion over the other at one particular time. So the thing is, if you performing salah in a community, like, the recitation, the qira'ah that we recite is hafs. Hafs is the way we actually recite with all the rules and regulations. That's what we learn here. Whilst, for example, in Morocco, they have a different set of rules for their qira'ah. So some scholars would say if you are reciting for Cape Townians, then you shouldn't recite in Kisai or Walsh or all these different, because it creates confusion to the people standing behind. Like we're learning Maliki and you're saying Maliki now. So they're getting a little bit confused, right? And some other scholars said, no man, we can recite what we want to recite. People must get used to it also. They must stop being so one-track minded, okay? Unzila al-Quran ala sab'ati ahruf. The Quran was revealed in 7 ahruf. What does ahruf is? Nobody actually knows. No scholar can tell you what the ahruf is, but they have various opinions of what it is. They can tell you what the ahruf contains, like different in dialect. Like some people might say garage, some people might say garage, some people might say something else. You with me? If you go to Constantia, sometimes you ask him to say something, a sentence, and they speak a certain way. You go to Strand, right? By the white areas there, and you ask him to say something, they'll say it in a certain way. Go to Manenberg, they'll say it in a certain way. So everybody say the same language, but they say things a bit differently. Some people say help me, some people say help me, but you can't say help. Now every time you're saying the sentence, instead of her, you say yeah. Now imagine somebody was saying yeah.
For this talking, when I was staying in Mitchell's plane,
yeah.
So one lady come there for security. Her name is Kauthar. You know, Kauthar in our country these are regular names.
Yeah.
But you see, when they call her Kota.
Kota.
Yeah,
Kota. Yeah.
Because of this melody.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of.
So what we do in our culture is we change a dad into a lam and a dal. I don't know why. Like instead of saying faldila, we say faldila. You know? If you say faldi, we say faldi. So if you can't recite like that though, that's going to be a hectic recitation, right? Anyway, so that is interesting. And then also a man can't follow a female because it will be, the salah will be batil. I told you it happened in Constantia. The lady's name was Anna Wadud. You know Anna Wadud? She came to lead the Jummah. Yeah, some people were making a joke about it. We shouldn't make jokes of people. Don't want to say the joke, I don't like. Something about wanna be a dude, that type of a thing. That's what people were saying. You know, so yeah, but it's batil, right? According to all fuqaha, nobody's going to say that is permissible. And then what else would we discussed? Okay, now I'm waiting for the new thing. كيفية الاقتداء. Number one, أن يتقدم المأموم على الإمام. Here we go. So how do we actually, now we know, so how do we actually make iqtida? Iqtida is to follow Imam. How do we know that we, say, like I said last week, if you're right at the back of the masjid and there's a congregation in front, and let's say there's something wrong with your leg or something, your leg is sore, and there's no chairs here. Now you can't come to the front. You must sit right at the back now because that's where the chairs are. Do you still get the reward? Are you still in jama'ah? Or are you considered as someone isolated? You're standing alone. What about somebody that's standing behind alone in the saf? Like the saf is full and he's standing alone and nobody's coming to join him. Is he still part of the jama'ah? So this is what we want to look at tonight. لا يتحقق الاقتداء المشروع إلا بشروط وكيفية ينبغي مراعاتها وهي كثيرة نلخصها فيما. So this is the couple of points we need to look at. Number one, أن لا يتقدم المأموم على الإمام في المكان. The ma'moom, the guys that is following, cannot go in front of the imam. So you get it in certain masajids where there's like an extension built on, but then the extension is like this. I think in St. Athens there's that extension, and I think there was also a time in Dar Naim, in Castle Town there, where there's an extension built onto the masjid, and then the part of the extension is past the masjid, past the imam. So when the imam is standing, then he has to make sure that nobody's standing in front of him, because their salah will not be, it actually will be batil. It will be batil because they are making an intention to follow an imam, but their following is wrong. So then they lose the salah. Okay. So one of the conditions is you can't stand in front of the imam. So his salah in terms of following will be invalid. The Prophet ﷺ said, إِنَّمَا جُعِلَ الْإِمَامُ لِيُؤْتَمَّ بِهِ. The Prophet ﷺ says that the imam is there so that he's followed. That's a simple statement. So you can't stand in front of the imam, right? They like to say this in Cape Town. You'll say Imamuna amamana. Imamuna, our imam is in front. Imamuna, meaning our imam, is amamana, is in front of us, right? Wa anta imamuna, and you are imam. This is, you know, when the people are, you stand in front, and they'll say al imam, imamuna amamana, right? Wal i'timam al ittiba'. So you have to follow him. وهو لا يكون إلا حيث يكون التابع متأخرا. You cannot follow an imam except that you're behind him. لكن لا تضر مساواته له في الموقف وإن كان ذلك مع الكراهة. However, this is interesting. لا تضر مساواته له في الموقف وإن كان ذلك مع الكراهة. So this is ugly, but it's permissible, right? I don't know if there's ikhtilaf with regards to this. I never actually honed into this particular sentence. You can stand in line with him, but it's very ugly. You can stand in line with him and follow him, but it's an ugly thing to do. It's better to stand behind him. Okay? So it is permissible, but it's ugly. وَإِنَّمَا يُنْدَبُ تَخَلُّفُهُ عَنْهُ قَلِيلًا. It's rather better and recommended. Mandub means something you'll get rewarded for. To just stand behind him a little bit. So there's a line, put your heels behind the line slightly. So if the masjid is full, there's no place. Just a little bit behind the imam, and that's possible. Right? To stand in line with him is permissible, but very ugly. The haram is actually interesting. The haram of Makkah and Medina, especially Medina. In Medina, I'll take us there. You mentioned Medina. Where's Medina? Who's been to Medina? MashaAllah. Anyone else? Been there? How much times? Couple of times. MashaAllah. So you see, they're by the green dome, right? By the green dome, right? So in front, they actually put that barricade there, and they say Imam stands here, because when it gets full, then they go in front of the Imam. But there's an exception to the rule there. There's exceptions to the rule, because of the dynamics of Makkah and Medina, like a normal masjid. There it gets full. You don't want millions of people. So the rules they are slightly different, right? But when it's not full, you don't have a right to stand in front of the Imam at all. But they do make some indications over there. فإذا تقدم عليه بطلت صلاته. So your salah will be invalid. والاعتبار في التقدم والتأخر بالعقب. So where do you consider is your shoulder? What must you consider? What must be in front of him? Is your shoulder? No, it's your heel. The heel of your foot, not your toes. Some people got big feet. Got big feet. Some people got small feet also. But your heel, if the heel of your foot is in front of the heel of the Imam, then you're in front of him. If your heel is behind the heel of the Imam, then you're behind him. And that's confusing because the Imam got so a big foot now. Now what must you do now? You can't now still stand behind him. And some people got big feet in Cape Town. Really, you get size 14s and you get huge feet. You'll see that. I want to mention what from what people are they mostly, but they say, hey, got a foot, I'm telling you what, a huge feet, right? Nabi Musa so means, massive people. So the heel, your heel if your heel is in front of him, and then you got a problem, your salah will be invalid. It has to be. Yeah.
What is the advice if it's two people?
So we're going to get to that. We're going to get to that. Exactly how do we stand next to each other? I can tell you with two people, the Prophet I think it was Abdullah ibn Abbas. Well, it was Abdullah ibn Abbas. He came to stand behind him. He was reciting for Tahajjud, and then he came to stand here next to him on the left hand side, behind him but on the left. And the Prophet took him with his left hand and pushed him to the back while he was making salah, and he pulled him this way to the right.
On the right side.
So definitely on the right.
Yeah.
Where it comes interesting, if the third one comes, does he stand on the right? Or do you stand on the, because if you stand on the left of that person, then you're directly behind the Imam. So that's when it gets interesting. We'll look at that soon, inshallah. So, والاعتبار في التقدم. So you remember, consider the heel. وهو مؤخر قدم. فإن كان المقتدي اثنين فأكثر. Here we go. So if the followers are two or more, right? So Imam is in front of you. The people that is following is two or more. اصطفوا خلف الإمام وإن كان واحدا وقف عن يمينه. So if there are two people, they start making a saf behind the Imam. You start standing behind the Imam and you make a saf there. And if it's one person, you go to the right. Okay? So the idea here is if another person comes, you can both step to the back now. Right? Because now you're making space for the saf. Because if you're going to stay there, what's going to happen? When people come join you, they're either all going to go to the right, because they can't stand to the left of you, otherwise they must leave a gap, and there's a hole now in that saf. That is why you step back, right? Then the person can join you, either to the right or to the left, but you're starting to make a saf now. وَإِنْ كَانَ وَاحِدًا, so you stand on the right. فَإِنْ جَاءَ ثَانٍ, so when the second person comes, وَقَفَ عَنْ يَسَارِهِ, so here we go. So the Imam is standing in front, and the follower is standing right next to him, just two people. Now someone comes. Now you got a choice. Do I stand to the right of this person, to the left of this person? You stand to the left of the person. So this is directly behind the Imam. Right? But then the one that's standing close to him must step back now, because they're going to start making a soft. Okay? ثاني وقف عن يساري ثم رجع أو تقدم الإمام. Sorry, I made a mistake. The Imam is standing in front. I made a mistake. The Imam is standing in front. So one person comes to join him. He stands on the right hand side of the Imam. So it was just here now. He was one just a little bit behind the Imam. Why would you stand far behind him? Standing close to him. Now when the third person comes, so the Imam is the one, this guy is the second follower comes, he stands on the left hand side of the Imam. But now you've got a gap. There's a soft now, but there's a gap. Now two options, either both of the followers step back. Right? So, because if the Imam is in the mimbar, he can't go forward. So either they both come back, right? Then they can join up. Right? So you can move in salah, right? You just shouldn't make more than you should make more than 2 consecutive moves. If you move 3 times, then your salah is batil. 3 big movements. So you can take 1 step, 2 steps, stop. 1 step, 2 steps, stop. But if you take 1, 2, 3 consecutively like that, then your salah is invalid, because that's considered as excessive movement. You move too much. If you move 2 times, two normal movements, right, that's accepted. You can't scratch, you can do this, that's not considered. A big movement is a step. So these 2 people will step back. Now they can join. Make sense? Or, let's say they can't step back, or they don't step back. Then the Imam can step forward. Then the 2 people can join, and the Imam can step forward. So that's interesting. Okay. I was just confused about that. You're confused about that sometimes. ورواه مسلم عن جابر رضي الله عنه قال صليت خلفه. So Jabir رضي الله عنه, he said, I performed salah behind the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم. So I stood to his right. Then Jabir ibn Sakhr, ثم جاء جابر ibn Sakhr, another man came, another Sahabi came, فقام عن يساري, so he stood to the left of the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم. فأخذ بأيدينا, he took our hands جميعا حتى أقامنا خلفه. So yeah. So he took our hands and he pulled us together, so we were behind him. You with me? So he brought him together. There's a thing about there's science behind it, and there's spiritual science behind it. You know, if you put 2 clocks in it, 2 grandfather's clocks, that's so like. Then if you put them next to each other long enough, they start swinging together in tandem. That's in tandem, meaning they're both doing it together, right? I don't know how the science of that thing works. You can go check it up yourself. But this happens in a spiritual side as well. You might not be high with you in terms of your iman or spirituality, but if you stand next to someone, right, that is closer to Allah than you are, then He affects you in a way you don't know. He affects you in a way you don't know. Right? If somebody smokes and stuff, right, and you go stand in his shop or he's making iron, you're going to smell like the smoke. So that's a natural physical thing. And if you someone sells perfume, I like perfume. You guys like perfume? I like wood. You like wood? Wood, yeah? Huh? No, that's not the one that you burn in the oil. So if you stand next to someone, you greet someone that has scent on, then you're gonna smell like that. So if that's happened physically, spiritually that also happens. That is why it's good to stand in Jama'ah. Your hearts become united, right? And if you're not together, your hearts become disunited. I'm guilty as I'm speaking here, because I don't perform Salatul Jama'ah as I should. You know, I don't do it as I should. No, I'm the first one to say it. So I'm making intention as I'm sitting here. ويسن أن لا يزيد ما بين الإمام والمأموم على 3 أذرع. So there mustn't be more than 3 arms length. بذراع الرجل معتاد ويساوي 50 centimeters تقريبا. How much? 50 centimeters like this, right? What's 50 centimeters?
A bit more.
Like that?
Yeah.
So it mustn't be ويسن أن لا, it mustn't be more than that. Between the Imam and the Ma'mum, mustn't be more than that. وهكذا بين kulli safayn. So it's just enough for you to put your knees down and to make ruku. So roughly like this. This might be a little bit longer, but I mean a normal sajjada they call it. Cape Town we call it a musla, right? So a normal sajjada, right? Just a normal one. So it mustn't be a long thing. Imam standing there then 2 softs away, right? Like we didn't COVID, but that was the reason that we did that, right? وإذا صلى خلف الإمام رجال ونساء صف الرجال أولا ثم النساء بعدهم. So in the time of the Prophet ﷺ, if it was males and females, then the females are the back, males in, and that's not tradition. That's actually how it always was in the time of the Prophet ﷺ. ثم النساء وإذا صلى الرجل وامرأة صف الرجل عن يمين الإمام والمرأة خلف الرجال. Yeah, so females will be at the back, and if there's like 3 people in the if there's 3 like 2, there's a male and a female. So the Imam stands in front, then the male will stand to the right of the Imam, and the female will stand at the back. So if you're salaying at home with your brothers and sisters and that, we can practice on these things. Okay. It's nice, you know, for what's a nice thing to introduce back into our families is a salatul layl in the night, you know, where the family come together, even if it's once a month, you know, just 2 rak'at, something light, nothing hectic. Only a person to recite all Baqarah. To be honest with you, most people are scared for salatul layl because the guy recites too long. He's standing way too long. You don't know what to expect because you're tired. You want to go work tomorrow, and you know, so something light, you know, just to introduce it again. Amma jama'atul nisa. As for just nisa, if it's just females, if there's only ladies, right? فَتَقِفُوا إِمَامَتُهُنَّ وَسَطُهُنَّ لِثُبُوتِ ذَلِكَ الْعَائِشَةَ وَأُمِّ سَلَمَةَ رَضِيَ اللَّهُ عَنْهُمَا. In the time of the Prophet ﷺ, Aisha radiallahu anha and Salma, they would stand in front for females. They would be the Imam. But they stand in the middle of the saf. So the Imam stands in the middle of the saf. Okay? So ladies, one saf, and in the middle the Imam stands, right? The Imam. This has been established from Aisha, the practice of Aisha radiallahu anha and Salama. I don't see a mention over here of وَيُكْرَهُ أَوْ قُوفُ الْمَأْمُومُ مُنْفَرِدٍ. Yes, I don't see the mentioning of a female going to the front, but there's no problem if you go front, right?
23.
Okay.
I think 23.
All right. No.
Can a lady stand in front?
Can a lady stand in front? For another lady? Yeah. So yeah, there's a group of ladies at home, and they all make salat, and then one can lead. Yeah, that was the masala we were just speaking about now. Okay.
And what if there is the man but cannot recite Quran, and the lady is the one knows how to recite Quran?
Oh, you asked me that. You stumped me now. So what do we have? We have a lady that can recite, and a man that can't recite. So this obviously must have occurred in the time of the Prophet, but never do we have a female standing in front. I'm using logic. So the
Imam in front of men who cannot recite Quran?
No.
So how they will
No. I don't know. But then they shouldn't be performing salah together. You must learn. If you can't salah at all, if you can't perform salah at all, you must obviously do what is best for you. So we spoke about if you can only recite the basmala, then that is compulsory upon you. So you need to recite as you can. But if you get married to someone, right, and you can't recite, can you stand in front for? That's a problem, yeah. In terms, I don't know. You stumped me a little bit there. Yeah, I'll have to check it out. What do you think, though? What do you think?
I'm asking, they must leave Salah until that man knows how to recite.
No.
No, because it's automatically, maybe they're married.
Yeah.
The wife can teach the husband, right?
Yeah.
But the husband at that moment don't know even Alhamdulillah.
Yeah. So what you can do, so I'm using logic here. What you can do is, you know, if the Imam makes a mistake, then if you're a man, you can rectify him by saying Subhanallah. A female can communicate by knocking hands together, right? So she can, if it's a husband and wife, I'm just giving a scenario. The husband will stand in front, she stand in the back, but then she can recite and then he can repeat after. So if she wants to teach him. But if she's performing salah, she must perform salah on her own, he must perform salah on her own. Because then his salah is valid and her salah is valid. As for that scenario, that's never going to happen where a female can lead a man in salah. But it's a good question. Hopefully we'll come up, but I'll also check more about that inshallah. Shukran for that. وَيُكْرَهُ وُقُوفُ الْمَأْمُومِ مُنْفَرِدًا. It is makruh. You know it's makruh. What's the best way to translate makruh? Disliked, yeah. You can also say offensive.
Something which is not haram, but can make Allah cross. But it's
not cross, yeah. Yeah. But I know what you're saying is, you don't get punished. You don't get punished. Yeah, but it's better not to do it. Yeah. So they call it offensive, yeah, or disliked. ويكره وقوف المأموم منفردا في صف وحده. So you find this a lot. There's a confusing mas'ala to a lot of people. It's makruh for you to stand behind alone. So from there right up until there is no place for you. So it's offensive for you to stand alone. Or there is place for you, but you just don't have to walk to the end of the... Say you're coming into the masjid and the saf is ending there on the other side, you don't want to go there. So you just stand behind the first saf and you start with the second one and the first one is not complete and you're standing alone. This is offensive. It is permissible, but it is offensive. But يدخل الصف إن وجد سعة. But you must enter, try to go into the saf if you find a gap. وإن لم يجد سعة. But if you don't find a gap, what must you do? فإنه يندب أي يجر شخصا واحدا. And you must pull someone. Don't pull him. Pull him at his face coming. You can pull him gently like this, right? You pull him, right? You pull him gently. من الصف إليه to him بعد الإحرام. So after everyone say Allahu Akbar, performing salah, you can pull someone gently to you. Okay? Pull him gently to you. So you don't stand alone. Otherwise it's makruh. وَيُنْدَبُ لِلْمَجْرُورِ. It is recommended for the person that's being pulled and you side out to comply. In other words, go back. وَيَرْجِعُ إِلَيْهِ لِيَنَالَ فَضِيلَةَ الْمُعَاوَنَةِ عَلَى الْبِرِّ. To do that because it's a good spirit of just righteousness. So you come back for your brother, so you don't leave him in the lurch. You come back for him, right? You stand there with him and that would be permissible. But then there's a hole in the saf. Now what do you do? And they can start closing it again. One step. That's not a problem. Okay, then there's also conditions of what is following. So you making Allahu Akbar and your imam is far past you and you're still standing. There's a certain limit where that's not going to work. We'll stop there inshallah. How was the class okay tonight? Right? Nantayuna inshallah. Barakallah, hayakumullah. Shukran for everybody.
All in learning something.
Barakallah. Any questions? That's nice. I'm going to check that thing up more. Barakallah. Any questions?
No. I eventually come to the adding on when you a lot of people when they come back.
So it's called a masbook, yeah. Masbook, yeah. Just now I saw a problem, yeah. I saw a problem with that, with the person that was standing next to me for Maghrib. He got up before Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. You shouldn't do that, yeah. So yeah, that we must speak about. That's called a masbook. The one comes in late, yeah. Yeah, you must wait till the first salam is finished. Otherwise, you got a problem, yeah.
But you can get up after the second also.
Yeah.
But you got to wait for the.
But you must wait till the first one is finished. Okay. Because that's one of the arkan. It's one of the.
It's the indication. He asked if it's the indication for you.
No, it's not the indication. It's one of the integrals of salah.
It must be done.
So it must be done. So if you're following the imam, you must follow him with all the arkan. So if you get up before the time and you didn't, and then you broke your salah before you got up. Yeah. So that's an interesting discussion. It'll come next week, inshallah. Shukran, Moulana.